welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday Morning in the Old Cookbook Show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of this cookbook, the Farm Bureau Cookbook by the Labette County Farm Bureau unit members, 1939. Now this is a community cookbook. Every recipe is attributed to someone in the community who has sent it in. One of the owners along the way has written inside the book whether recipes are good or not, and what changes they would make to make them better or to make them to their taste. There's a lot of advertising in the back for farm implement stores and various suppliers in the region. The recipe we're going to do is called Spanish corn. Now, I've chosen this recipe for a bunch of reasons. One reason, I needed a side dish today. And I thought, oh, I like corn side dishes, so let's try a corn side dish. The other reason I chose it is because of the name. It's called Spanish corn. Now, typically, in an earlier time period, the word Spanish in the title of a recipe did not tie it to an origin in Spain. Most of these recipes have absolutely nothing to do with Spain, except they contain peppers or tomatoes, or peppers and tomatoes at the same time. This one contains peppers, both pimentos and chopped green pepper. And the reason they get that Spanish moniker is Spain was, they rolled over the Americas first, conquered, steamrolled, and took many plants, fruits, vegetables back to Spain. So they were the first ones to bring peppers and tomatoes, potatoes, and a bunch of other things back to Europe. And it took a very long time for these fruits and vegetables to be embraced, both by the Spanish and then by the wider European community. And when they finally did start to make their way into the diets of other communities in Europe, they often used Spanish or Spain as a code word to say tomatoes or peppers. This dish contains tomatoes or peppers. Whether they had anything to do with Spain at all didn't matter. So there's absolutely no method to this dish. So I'm completely winging it here, so bear with me. I've got milk and an egg in here that I've mixed up. I'm going to add salt and sugar and continue mixing that together. That's the final thing that drew me to this recipe. There's no method. Mrs. R.M. Noble Sr. Submitted a recipe with zero method. I guess you're just supposed to know what Spanish rice is, in which case, why put it in the book? But anyway, there are clues as to how to make it, even though there's no method. So the first thing I looked at was, to me and to most recipe writers pre-1980, let's say, the way a recipe is written, the ingredients are given usually in the order used. Most of the time in the order used. So this one isn't really in the order used or in the order that I've used them, but the last two ingredients are cracker crumbs and butter. And the fact that we've got milk and an egg leads me to believe that it's a custard with a cracker top that just happens to have corn and pimentos and green pepper in it, which leads me to it's a casserole. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making a casserole. Next in then is the pepper, pimento, and a little bit of onion. Not much of any of them. And we'll mix that in. Color's really nice. Corn. Looks great. Really, really promising. Okay, so I've got the cracker crumbs and the butter. I've melted the butter. Doesn't say to melt the butter, but I've melted it just to kind of mix in with the cracker crumbs before we spread them on top. Okay, so just moisten all of that cracker with the butter. And then spread it over top. Okay, because there's no method, there's no mention about baking it or temperature or time or anything like that. I put the oven to 350 degrees because when in doubt, 350 is a very safe bet. I'm going to cook this for 15 to 20 minutes before I check on it. I can't imagine that this would bake longer than 20 or 25 minutes, and you're probably just looking for a little bit of brown on the top. Okay.
Hey, Glenn. Oh, I was just gonna come. I was just gonna get that for you. How you doing, friends?
Hot. Okay.
Corn. Crackers.
Uh-huh. Okay, so there.
I wasn't sure. I'm thinking spoon.
I think probably spoon. I think that would work.
So it looks like you've got some pepper.
I'll
try your spoons.
Pepper.
Thank you.
Green pepper, pimento, onion, corn, milk, and egg. So it's a custard with some vegetables in it with crackers on top.
Okay.
Mm. That's pretty good. I like that. You don't look convinced.
Well, it's verging on that cream corn flavor that I'm not that fond of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, my own personal issues with cream corn and things.
I'm digging this.
I mean, it's basically corn.
Yeah.
With that cream.
Well,
flavor.
that's the custard, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't like the custardy flavor that goes with the corn? You associate the two things together? Yeah.
No. I think if you're a fan of cream corn, you're going to love this.
Yeah. If I was making this for myself without trying to follow the recipe, I'd ditch the sugar. It doesn't need a tablespoon of sugar.
Sugar in it?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It doesn't need a tablespoon of sugar at all. And then I would put in black pepper because it had no pepper.
Yeah, something to give it a little bite.
Mm-hmm. A hot pepper would work. Like, I mean, a fresh hot pepper would work. A jalapeno. Throw a jalapeno in there.
Mm-hmm.
That would work extremely well. This is a great base. I'd eat it just the way it is, though. I'm having a good time.
But there's something really fascinating about a custard with some vegetables in it.
Mm-hmm.
Light custard, vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
and the crackers kind of give it this interesting crunchy.
And it is a light custard. The custard, if I didn't say that there was custard in it, you wouldn't know that there was custard in it. There's just enough custard to sort of hold it together a little bit.
Yeah, not really hold it together.
No, no, but...
But it does, it adds that little bit of other flavor to it.
Okay, so that's a winner. Even though there was no method, no directions, no idea what it was supposed to come out like. Even if it wasn't supposed to come out like that, it's still a winner. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.